believe I am joined at this time with David from the rock band Lynam, all the way from Alabama. What's going on, man?
What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing real good, and thank you so much for joining me for this interview.
Absolutely, man. Glad to do it.
And let's go ahead and get started. How did the rock band got started?
Me and Jacob actually met back in 2001. I was just a guy booking. I was new to playing drums, actually. Definitely new to out playing gigs. So I had some shows booked, and I ran into Jacob. I didn't have a singer. You know, I was like jumped the gun, put the cart before the horse, and booked a handful of shows and had no singer. So I met him one night, another band show, and asked him if he could come sing for me. And he actually he agreed to do it, and that's how the band started, me and him, and we just grabbed a bass player. You know how bass players are. You can grab them 5 minutes before show and be ready to go.
So, how would you best describe the band's music? Is it like a alternative rock, hard rock? I mean, what's the best way to describe the band's music?
We call it big dumb rock. Because there's nothing complicated about it. You know, you listen to AC/DC and stuff like that. It's just it's definitely far from prog rock, and it's definitely far from alternative. It's big dumb forceful rock.
I hear that you all have a tour going on right now. Talk a little bit about that.
If the truth be known, we have not stopped touring since we started this band. Now, we may take a week off here and there, but we have been touring straight as a band. So coming up this year will be 12 years. So, you know, some weeks we only do Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Some weeks we do 7 gigs a week. Hell, back in the day when we were building the name for this band, we sometimes did 8 shows in a week, doing 2 shows on like a Saturday or something like that. So that's how we make our bread and butter. And given the state of rock and roll these days, if you don't tour, you don't make any money. So we stop touring, we stop eating. So we're always on tour.
How y'all feeling about this tour that y'all have going on?
Great, man. I mean, attendance is down, but it's down across the board for everybody. So some nights we'll be playing in front of thousands of people. Some nights it'll be a couple of hundred. But, you know, you can't let that get to you playing rock and roll for a living. You just get roll with the punches, and it builds character in the band. And as long as you're making a living playing music, you really can't complain.
For this tour, do y'all have any opening acts or anything like that, or it's specifically a Lynam concert?
Man, I'll be honest with you. Some nights we're the opening act. Some nights we have opening acts. Some nights it's just us. It's really, like I said, it's pretty funny if you were to follow us around from day to day, to do one show at a wing joint in front of 100 people, and then the next night be at an amphitheater in front of a few thousand, being the opening act. So it's fun. You know, it's very, you know, you take the good with the bad. So overall, we're still around after 12 years. We've got 6 CDs we've released, so I have to say I'm pretty proud of the work that we've done as a band.
That's amazing. Just to hear that the band's been around for over a decade, and it definitely shows the fan base that y'all have and the longevity that you have. I mean, a lot of things in life don't last that long, let alone 12 years. I mean, how does that feel to have that longevity with the band that y'all been together for so long?
I mean, it's tough. We're like brothers, you know. We fight like brothers, and we get along like brothers. So it's one of those things where every band argues. Every band doesn't get along. I don't care if it's U2, Bon Jovi, who it is. There's stuff behind closed doors where they almost come to blows over stuff. And it's just one of those things where being in a band with somebody for 10 or 12 years, it's grown accustomed to, you know, everything everybody does gets on your nerves. Just find a band that you can get along with, that you trust, and that you are friends with first and foremost. If you can't be friends, then it's hard to work in an environment where you're in close quarters every day of the week, and you're constantly seeing everybody at their best and at their worst. So it's like a marriage. We always say it's like a second marriage. Me and the singer of the band are married, and it's like taking on another marriage, because when you leave the house, you've still got another group of people that you're around all the time. So we're proud that we've been around over a decade. We've seen a lot of great bands come and go. We've seen city bands come and go too. So it's kind of one of those things where we've got enough stories where we could write books on some of the stuff we've seen. So we're proud of it, and I like even in the band 12 years, you kind of have a confidence that you don't have in the beginning.
For those who just tuning in, you're listening to Chilling with Jeff and Kenny C right here on itmiradio.com. We are on Talk Channel 2. I am joined with David, the lead singer of Lynam, and as he pointed out, they have a big tour that's been going on for a long time. You can go to their website. You can follow them on Twitter, like them on Facebook, all under the name Lynam. That's Lynam. Check them out. Who knows? They may be coming to a city near you. Just go to their website for the upcoming dates and check out their music. You know, check this band out, man. I mean, 12 years, 6 albums and counting. This band ain't going anywhere anytime soon. And you got a new fan in me, man. A little bit earlier, I played like 9 songs of y'all before the show went on the air, and I'm gonna list the songs that I played. I played "Save My Soul," "Porn Star," "Just Say Anything," "Lindsay Says," "Tennis," "Is This a Heartbreak or a Loaded Gun," and "Just Say Anything." I played a boatload of y'all songs, and I enjoy every single one of them. Amazing music, man.
Well, I appreciate you playing all of that, man. That's most of those songs are off of our new album, and I have that's our last studio album that we did. It's called Tragic City. So a lot of those songs come off of that one. And our latest album was actually a live CD. So after 11 years of touring, we did a live CD. We figured we took board recordings of several shows and went through and found the ones with the least amount of mistakes and just released it as is. So even if I was taking the ones with the least amount of mistakes on it, you can still hear some mistakes. But kind of that's what I think people go to see bands for, to see how good they are live and to see the honest mistakes that people make live, and just the meters sometimes speed up and slow down based on the excitement of the crowd. But I think it's a true representation of how the band is live, and people enjoy it. It's called Thank You, Good Night. Got a collaboration of all of some of our best songs off of each album that we perform live, the ones that go over best live. So that's our last album we released, called Thank You, Good Night. It's a collection over the past 11 years of us playing shows and just recording them.
Everybody be on the lookout for that, and awesome stuff, man. So who do you consider as influences in this band?
Oh, man, it spreads. So, I mean, being from the South, we have a lot of country and bluegrass influence. But we, as far as what posters we had on the wall growing up, it was Kiss, Motley Crue, Cinderella, bands like that, bands with huge stage presence. I remember me and the singer, we used to always think this when we would go to shows at our local arena in Birmingham. We would always band playing, and we, in the back of our head, assumed that it was stand-ins, and not really them. We always thought, there is no way that actual Poison or actual Aerosmith is playing our arena right now. This must be lookalikes that look like them and just playing their songs. So our influence covered everything from arena rock to bluegrass and country music, because growing up in the South, your parents the radio station is always on a country station. So as soon as you get old enough to listen to your own music, you start exploring what else is out there. And, of course, rock and roll, as far as guys go, it's usually the music that they migrate towards. So we're no different. It covers everything, but we just like good music. We've gone through our phases of liking bands like Alice in Chains and Green Day, and so it's gone everything from alternative to pop to country to rock. We just like good songs, and we think anytime you write a good song, you could play any kind of instrument, and if the melody is good, it's going to go over no matter what audience.
Speaking of music, which kind of a segue to my next question, obviously rock music has definitely changed a lot since the AC/DC and the Kisses days. What's your take on the rock music that you hear on the radio these days?
don't like it. I mean, as a whole, I just don't like it. Don't like a lot of, and it's not the musician's fault, you know. Bands left and right will put in an album that they think is a great album, and their fans would probably love it, and then a record label rejects it because it doesn't the mold of what a record label sign. And there's a reason record labels are only signing bands that sound a certain way, and that is because radio stations are only playing bands that sound that way. And it all starts it all starts ends with radio. I don't know what's going to happen to rock music, but it's all bands feel that all bands constricted to write songs a certain way, because if you don't, your music will never be heard by the masses. Now, given the internet and radio and all these new media outlets that there are these days, it's easy to get your music out, but it's just so hard to get a jump start and build a core fan base, get your music heard by several thousands of people without getting on radio. It's still as bad a shape as it is. Terrestrial radio is the only way to get the music out to a massive wide audience as far as commercial sales go. I don't like a lot of the stuff I hear on the radio. I mean, you were talking about standing out. When a good song actually makes it to the radio these days, it stands out so much, and people love it so much. But just rock music, it's hard to differentiate what bands are what, because a lot of them are the same. And it's because of what radio will. It's really not even the musician's fault. They will all tell you, anybody in the band these days will tell you that they don't get to write the music that they really love, because nobody will sign it and nobody will release it.
You know, I've interviewed a lot of musicians, you know, of different genres of music, and that's what I get at as far as the restrictions that, you know, record labels get from the artists themselves. Like, it's like they don't have the freedom to put the music together the way that they want to. I guess unless you have a platinum album, unless you have had success on your own, I guess, I don't know, maybe it's babysitting them, you know, the A&Rs and everything, you know, but I just feel like in order for rock music to get back to where it is, maybe give the artists more freedom. I mean, it's their music. They know what they sound like. They know what, you know, from the fans' standpoint. I mean, just let them succeed. Let them take a chance. That's all I'm saying.
I just feel like in 20 years, people are going to look back at the state of radio right now, and there's not going to be a song that's tied to a memory, really. All these songs are just, it sounds so cookie cutter and the same. But mark my words, something will happen in the next 10 years, because rock radio is just going to be gone. That rock radio will be non-existent, and what you have to hope for is that the people in high up don't think that it's a genre of music, that it's actually the type of sound that they're signing is what the problem is. Because people love rock music, and you're never going to stomp out rock music. It had survived in clubs, and it have an underground scene for the rest of its life, but you'll never get rid of true rock fans because they love it. And people turn off their radio stations because they don't like what they hear, and that's why you hear of local rock stations flipping formats all the time, because people flipping on and go, you know what, I can find better music in my iPod. Why do I want to listen to this station? So they change the station, and nobody advertises on stations that nobody's listening to, so the stations flip formats. And all the beans think is that we're playing rock music and nobody's listening. It must be because rock music is dead, which that's really not the kind of music they're playing. It's their song list. It's the songs in general. So we'll see what happens. And hopefully we'll still be around when the smoke clears to see what the new genre of music brings.
Well, all I'll say is, as a fan of rock music, as a fan of variety of music, I believe rock music can definitely be back to where it is if they give a band like you guys an opportunity, you know, to get your music out there on terrestrial radio. And I feel like you guys, even y'all been together for so long, it's like y'all still haven't gotten that recognition, that worldwide recognition. I mean, you guys are a great, talented band. Y'all going places, and I feel like maybe radio stations need to dig deep or something. I don't know. They
I
just
mean, I'll tell you what, Lynam's been around for 12 years, and we haven't, radio has not embraced us like we had thought we always felt it should. We thought that we've written good songs. The powers that be have not gotten behind us and made a gigantic push for Lynam to be at radio. Right at the end of the day, like I said, we still make a living playing music. We can't really complain. Of course, we would love to be a household name. Who wouldn't? It would make life so much easier if we didn't have to play so many gigs. We didn't have to, if we could just play new markets all the time because our song was getting traction there. But at the end of the day, we make a living playing music, and we feel as strong as we ever have been, and we're not going anywhere. We're still, we don't make as much money as we used to back in like 2005, but we still make a living. So at the end of the day, there's people sitting behind a desk in their cubicle that they dare heard us say, life sucks because we're not a household name. We don't even want to play rock music anymore. It would be, people think that's a shitty point of view that you get to play music for a living. So at the end of the day, we're happy. We're not going anywhere. We'll see where life takes us.
well said, man. Well said. What would your advice be to any aspiring rock bands out there that wants to at least get a start somewhere, that wants to not only get their music out, but to have the longevity that you guys have? What would your advice be to any aspiring bands out there?
To stop playing, man. Put down your instruments and go get an education. I caught my little son with drumsticks in his hand the other day, and I yanked them out of his hand. I said, if you want to be successful in life, you better put those things down. But no, I honestly, find some guys that you're friends with first, and then see if the music gels, and if you gel musically, bands are going to party, especially rock bands. They're going to party, especially in the beginning as young guys. Party in moderation, and don't let that always be something that has to go on every time you play music. I mean, it's okay to have a few beers here and there, but if you burn yourself out in 5, because you can't maintain partying every night and playing shows every night. You got to be able to get along with your band sober. You got to be able to get along with your band and not lose money every day. I mean, at the end of the day, you play music because you like it. But you can't go out there and make a living playing music if you're reckless and you don't manage money and you just take any kind of show you can. And you have to be smart. I mean, there's some things that you just have to go out there and play. Always on the stage will never be replaced by anything. Getting out there and playing with some guys you get along with is the absolute best thing that you can do. Everything else, you'll be sitting on top of 10 years with the guys and be like, I cannot believe 10 years later we're still together playing music and booking shows. So just find some guys you get along with and that are at the same level of you musically, and just, hammer it out and go play and have fun. Don't be too serious about it.
You know what? At the beginning of what you said, that's a great point. Education is definitely a must. I mean, it seems like people want to take shortcuts and think they can get by and not get that education. Some got away with it and succeeded. Good for them. But others, not so much. It just shows that education is very valuable and it's very important. People, put the drumsticks down, get an education, and
Right.
get on the same page with your bandmates, and just reach for the common goal. And thank
You
you.
better do it for the love of music, because if you don't love it, there's going to be times where you're like, why am I doing this? And then there's other times it just hits you while you're on stage. Man, this is what it's all about. Somebody coming up to you and saying, look, a song of yours off of such and such album after my family member died got me through it. I did not want to go through with life, and I listened to that song and I related to it so much that it just let me know that all things pass, good and bad, and life is full of ups and downs. You just got to keep chugging. But the bad makes you appreciate the good, and the good sometimes makes you forget about the bad. So it's just one of those things where you love playing music. It better be the reason why you got into it, because the chances of you being wealthy playing music are slim to none.
Well, David, I want to take this time and thank you for joining me on tonight's show. Best of success goes out to you and the band and the tour. And again, thank you for your time. You have a happy and safe Thanksgiving, man.
You do the same, and thank you so much.
All right, you have a good night.
Hey, how did you set up this interview through Doug?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I couldn't remember. Yeah, I never talked to Doug, but my singer told me about it, and I didn't know anything about it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we still got this happening. So, shout out to
cool.
Doug. Shout out to Doug. Shout out to everybody, man. Thank you all for the emails, making sure this interview happened. Thank you, David. You have a good night.
You too, man.
All right, bye-bye. That was David of Lynam.